the MTA board meeting to order with only the public comments for the next 5 minutes. And if there's anyone who has not filled out a form and would like to, please make certain you do and provide it to Kathy in the maize jacket, because she's a whole lot of maize and blue in here today. I don't know if that's for any particular reason other than it's my alma mater, so I'm good with that.
I have to wear colors like that.
I know, maize and blue, black and gold, you know, whatever. John Bull. Hello, Mr. Bull.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
3 comments. Top of the list is this revolving line of credit. I've gone on this last year also, that the feds can't come up with the money that they're supposed to be coming up with on a timely basis. I make note that this is just unacceptable to me. The feds have to do better. And I'll state that the senior citizen from Tennessee is on the Transportation Committee at the Senate level. Made a phone call to him last year, didn't speak to him, talked to an aide. Apparently it made some results, just a thought. Senior citizen, or senior senator, state of Tennessee, is on the Transportation Committee. Talk to the dude. Second thing, it's section 5307, formula capital grant funding, and the congestion mitigation air quality grant funding are 2 things that are really not forthcoming on a timely basis. Second thing, and we're getting into the weeds here, Route 52A, it would be neat if it went another half mile or so to the rear of the Walmart at the 5824 Nolensville Pike address. They just enhanced their services there, and that would be really cool. And the third thing is at 2nd and Union and, 2nd Avenue and Union Street used to be a bus shelter. It is gone. That's a transfer point from, well, that 52 bus route inbound points headed east, you name it, Route 4, Route 26, Route 30, 20, it's a bus stop there. At any rate, the shelter is absent, and hey, you transfer there, you use it. It'd be nice to have that shelter back. And that's all my comments. Beautiful day.
Thank you, Mr. Bull. Nice to have you here today. Ms. Hanson.
Hello, I'm Sheila Hanson.
Hi, Sheila.
I, first of all, would like to thank you all for putting seats next to the outlets in the shelter there, where if someone wants to use their phone and charge it, they can. And also, now what I'm going to talk about today is Access Ride. I just had a friend texting me saying she is not going to use Access Ride anymore because they've gotten her to work way too many times. She has made arrangements now with her boss where she will drive her van to work, leave her wheelchair at work, which she shouldn't have to do, and get from her her van to the wheelchair that she'll be leaving at work with her walker. She's blessed that she has that choice. Not everybody who rides Access Ride does. So I'm thinking that if she is having that problem, so are other Access riders. I'm legally blind. People have asked me if I use Access Ride. I say no, and that right there is why. I'm capable of using the regular bus system, so I do. And to me, I can at least know I'm going to get where I need to go on time most of the time. Another thing is for the new on-demand transit, the premium pilot program that you're having. Muhammad, who works with that program, spoke at our National Federation of the Blind Nashville chapter meeting this past Saturday about it. And it's a great idea, but this same friend who has decided she's not taking access ride to and from work anymore says her scooter is too wide to get on any of the on-demand vehicles that have come to pick her up. She can get it on a regular access ride, but not on the on-demand vehicles. I'm thinking that she should still be able to use the on-demand and give it a try, but they need to be able to get her walker on the vehicles. So, I mean, are they not using access ride buses for that, or, I mean, I don't know, but, you know, she would like to be able to use that premium service, but can't because of the size of her chair. It's extra wide. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Hanson. Was that SNAP okay for you?
Huh?
Oh, last month, I think we agreed to do a SNAP at the 1 minute mark.
Well, I didn't make it to 3 minutes, so.
You did not make it to 3 minutes, but that's okay.
I didn't hear the snap, but I did.
It's okay, it said 2 minutes that, you have 1 minute left, so clap is what I should do instead of snap, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, but you're good, you still were
Yeah.
within your 3, so, but thank you for being here today, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Knight?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, how are you?
I just want to bring to the attention again about the bus display signs. Unfortunately, I had to bug your staff about a week ago. I was down at Riverfront, like where you catch the 6 and Lebanon Road. And the bus did not have any working displays whatsoever, and the driver actually did not stop at the stop at all. So I ended up having to call customer service and explain this to them. They actually reached out to dispatch only to find out that, yeah, that was the 6 and Lebanon Road bus, and I was gonna have to wait a whole nother hour for the next one. So I wasn't too pleased with that. I actually contacted Ms. Riggs and I told her what was going on. I went ahead and emailed a few people to let them know that this is unacceptable. If at all possible, as I said at the last meeting, I missed this last month, but before that I actually stated, if we could get something, paper or something to actually identify what these bus routes are, it would be a lot easier. And then I'm still noticing that a few of the buses that do not have sign and front displays working, the drivers are being rude to customers when they're actually flagging them down to find out which route they are. That's unacceptable as well. So I think we need to either come over the announcements in the morning and in the afternoon when they switch in shifts, just as a reminder to drivers to say, hey, you need to let these passengers know what route you are if your display sign does not work. The other things are maintenance. I think y'all really got to focus on that if we're going to move forward with any transit initiative. I've seen this Plan B crap that came on TV last night. I don't really care about it. I don't even think you guys should even waste your time with it. Hopefully, I have some issues with Plan A, of course, because I feel like it's really not going to fix all the congestion issues we have. But I think that that plan needs to be tweaked. I've actually sent some information in to some staff members of ideas in which I think would actually help you guys. The other issues are mainly just making sure that safety is a precaution with drivers, just a reminder to them to kind of pay attention to what they're doing as well, because some of your drivers seem to be trying to go for this right here. And the last thing I knew, that was against the rules for any driver to be on their phone while that bus is in motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Mr. Thomas? Hello, Mr. Thomas, how are you today?
All right.
Great.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
On the 22nd of last month, I was on the 824, bus number 824, the 50 BRT run. Supposed to leave here at 3:30 in the afternoon. The bus driver didn't get here till 3:31, the bus left at 3:34. On the 27th, the bus number 846, 52B run from the jailhouse, supposed to leave the jailhouse 202, arrived at my stop at 2:23, which is like 11 minutes late. On the 6th of this month, bus number 725 52B arrived at Harding Temple at 12:13 from Harding Place Road. He didn't take the loop around he's supposed to take. I think the new bus driver, I picked him up at 2:13 at my stop to head downtown, and as he's hitting the brakes, he sees them so hard, it's like felt like you're being thrown forward. And one customer that got on Walmart wanted to get off at that nutrition place that's just past the zoo, and he rang the bell, and the driver didn't stop till just past Indiana Pike. That stop was there. On the 7th of this month, the bus number 13856 run departed MC, supposed to depart at 10:30. The driver didn't arrive till 10:39. The bus departed at 10:42. On the 12th, the bus number 73952B run arrived at Harding Temple at 2:23. Supposed to leave the jailhouse 202, supposed to be at 2:12. On the 15th of the month, the 902 for the jailhouse 52B bus arrived at Harding Temple at 9:23. On the 20th, number 837, which is 7 Hillsborough Road bus, part MCC here at 8:15, driver arrived at 8:18, and the bus departed at 8:20. On the 20th of the month, number 700, 52B, supposed to depart here at 11 o'clock, did at 11:11, and he departed at 11:15. On the 21st, bus number 869, 52B, supposed to depart here from 11:30, and driver arrived at 11:35, departed here at 11:37. On the 22nd, which was today, there's a lady on the bus that was panhandling money from customers, me and at least two I know of. The bus driver didn't say anything to her, she's like really whispering. But I do have one comment about one bus this past week that left the jail 202. I arrived on time at 2:12 at my stop.
Yay. Thank you for being here today. Mr. O'Connor?
How you doing, everybody?
Good, how are you today?
I'm still breathing, so I'm gonna walk.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Okay. Things all this past week for me has been kind of rushed, so I had very limited time to be able to write down most of my notes that I would normally do. But I have a couple things here that I had on my phone for a little bit, and along with a couple of the usual things that I keep bringing up, customer service hours need to be extended, from the time that the first bus leaves here to the time that the last bus makes its run, because there are, between all that time, there are still people out there that at one point or another is going to need assistance or one thing or another. They need communication with customer service. And also the buses really seriously do need to be extended also, because there are many people, especially downtown, that either working or otherwise, depending on transportation, especially people like me who go downtown on the weekends. And anyway, one of the things here is 2 weeks ago on Friday night, I had to stop down there by the Country Music Hall of Fame. As I was waiting for the last bus outbound, the 18 comes flying through, comes in over on the side lane as if he was going to stop, but he just blew right on through. If there was somebody at that stop waiting for the 18, they would have missed it because he just kept on going. He apparently didn't pay attention to whether or not there was anybody there for his bus or not. Also, Friday, March 2nd, last bus is out, 11:15, bus number 859, Route 52B, approaching Walmart stop, as the number 72 bus was parked in that spot, and the driver could not see if there was anybody at that stop because the 72 was in the way. But he made no efforts to slow down, to look to see around the bus or anything, and not going. So that's it for me at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. O'Connell. Those are all of the public comments that I have. Does anyone else have a public comment they'd like to make and did not have an opportunity to fill out the form and provide to me? No one else? Okay. That concludes the public comment section of our board meeting. And I, at this time, would ask for approval of the February 22nd, 2018 minutes.
Second.
There being a motion and a second, any discussion? No discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you very much. Kathy, I just want to say thank you for always preparing these minutes in the way that you prepare them. They're always done extremely well, and you get them to us in time to review them, and just want to let you know that I appreciate very much how well you do that. Thank you. Operations and Finance Committee, Mr. Searcy.
Yes. Well, we have one action item to present to the board, and recognizing the caveat provided us by Mr. Bull, call Lamar Alexander and tell him what he needs to hear about delaying our revenue. But having it delayed, we recommend then to the committee that the revolving line of credit be reinstated pursuant to the committee recommendation.
And is that a recommendation of your
Of our committee.
committee?
Yes.
With that being a recommendation, a second is not required. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Therefore, the motion carries. And so now we'll have the revolving line of credit at the amount of $12.4 million, but could be increased up to 13 if necessary based upon the Metro rule. Thank you. Anything further, Mr. Searcy?
Nothing
From your
further from Operations and Finance.
Next, Ms. Miller, New Initiatives and Community Engagement Committee.
Okay, so we have one action item to bring before the board today that's tied to the Murfreesboro Pike Transit Signal Priority software integration. And I think everybody knows that we've been working on a contract on a signal priority project for Murfreesboro Road, which is going to be great. It's really going to help with our bus performance and all. And we've approved a $10 million grant for that. What we're bringing to you today is around a RFP that we issued that is really the software and technology piece of this. So it will implement an integrated TSP system that includes the software development and also how it integrates with the city communication system. So that's what this is about. It was a real technical RFP, so we put together kind of a special task force to look at it because it was so technical. Received 2 proposals from Econolite Systems and Global Traffic Technologies. And the staff interviewed both of these and then took a look at the costs, kind of trying to get an apples to apples comparison. So the staff is made a recommendation that we would like to recommend to the board that we approve a base contract for the project in the amount of $694,656, we're precise, with a contingency up to 10% for a not-to-exceed value of $764,122 for a 10-year term. And this is with Econolite, is the vendor that is being recommended for this. And then they also requested that we have a 10-year, kind of a 5-year contract, has an option for extensions. Did I put that right? Yeah, somebody help me with this.
Contract options for up to a 10-year period to support the expansion of TSB.
Okay, so what this is about is, once we get this project implemented, we will be able to take it to other corridors in the city without having to come back and do individual contracts, correct? Okay. So it's a ease thing.
We'd have to do a separate contract authorization, but we wouldn't have to compete it out again. We could go right to a contract.
Great. And the staff really felt strongly this Econolite is the right vendor with the right technology for the project. So we would like to make that recommendation to the board today, to approve the staff recommendation to approve the Econolite contract.
So is there that's a recommendation of the committee, therefore it does not require a second, any discussion?
Just one query. It just came to mind. It did not, I did not think about it during our committee discussion. But with light rail coming to the Murfreesboro Road corridor, how does this software apply to it? It applies obviously to the bus route, but how does it apply to the light rail?
Look at Andrew. I can take a crack if you don't.
Sorry, with your question, how would it apply to the Murfreesboro corridor, or how would it apply to the Gallatin corridor?
So if you were to integrate light rail into the Murfreesboro corridor, what were the implications? My general take is one of the things this software does is it ties the signals in that network into the centrally controlled system as opposed to your box by box. So you would have to be reprogramming, you would have to reprogram the system generally when that were to happen.
That's correct. This software vendor is going to essentially marry our traffic control software to yours. Ours control the signals, yours talk to your buses, and this vendor is going to be able to integrate these two.
He explained it so much better than I did. Thank you. It seems so simple the way you said it, so.
I have other questions, but not.
But to be clear, it would be a significant undertaking to reprogram, when that were to occur. So that would be part of the bigger project.
That's absolutely correct.
All right, okay.
So it wouldn't be as simple as say, click the key for light rail operation.
All right.
I would just sort of celebrate again the collaboration with Metro Works and MTA, and watching the two work together is really great for the work that we're doing and they're doing. And so it's always great to see these kind of collaborations and partnerships in the work we do.
Great.
It's especially good to see hard hats on Murfreesboro Road. We've been talking about this project
Talking about it for a long time, so this is good news.
Glad of that. So any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No opposition, the motion carries. Is there anything further for Nice Committee?
Nope, that's it for the nice committee.
And I don't have much for my chair's report, and I know I talked about this at the beginning of our committee. Our prayers are with those who were involved in the accident today, and we'll think about them if there's anything that's needed. Steve, from us as a board, just please don't hesitate to call upon us, but everyone is in our prayers. Today, we had our budget hearing with Mayor Briley, and I'm just going to sort of just put this out here. Steve, you knocked it out the ballpark.
We'll see when the budget comes out.
Well, but I think what was good about what you presented is that you told our story. You told our story about what we've been doing over the past year. You've told the story about what's coming up next and what could come up next. And I think that it spoke very much to the Hardy system that we have now and the system and how it can be enhanced going forward. So I really appreciated the clarity in which you shared that MTA story. So I thought that it was a good job.
Great.
So well done. And other than that, we just push forward in the work that we do. And as always, I thank all of you for the great work you do. I thank the public for sharing with us ways that we can improve ourselves in constructive ways. So I appreciate that. And that concludes my report.
My turn.
Your turn.
Just to follow up, Madam Chair, on your comments about today's accident. I know all members are aware we had a very serious accident this morning at the Union at about 8:30. When obvious from police finding in the video on the bus that another driver ran through a red light, collided with our bus, knocking the bus out of control and into a building. We had a total of 9 folks transported to Vanderbilt Medical Center for attention. None of the injuries appeared life-threatening. Our operator has been admitted. So to echo your sentiments, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone. And we'll be thinking of them all. And to be honest, selfishly, specifically for our operator coming through, because that's a traumatic thing for anyone to be through. I want to extend my appreciation to the operations staff who responded, worked with first responders. As always, our was one of the first on scene. So kind of extending that cooperation when fortunately, they're fairly few and far between, but when we do have a major accident like this, the cooperation between our operations, our safety staff, Metro Police, Metro Emergency Services is very strong. So I want to thank everybody who was involved in that. We have a number of staff and a growing number of staff participating in the outreach efforts for the Let's Move Nashville initiative. So neighborhood meetings and community meetings and forums and you name it. And we'll be continuing to do that probably up through April 30th, I would imagine. So I want to thank all of our staff, because again, it's not as though we have full-time folks dedicated to that. They're largely taking time out of their otherwise busy work day. We're continuing. I know you've all been involved in conversations about potential brand development. We continue to work with Bohan. I can tell you I've seen some sneak previews, so you'll have some interesting things to look at, react to, and discuss in the coming months. I'm at a board meeting. And I'll leave it at that, because I don't think I could do it justice. I wanted to follow up on Gail's comment about this morning's hearing with Mayor Briley. I want to particularly extend my appreciation to the operator of the 52 bus who was driving the mayor to work at the very moment that he found out he was the mayor, because that story could have gone another way. But he was very complimentary of the service that he received. And we'll say this. So James, you'll have another co-commuter on the 52. Mayor Briley's a fairly regular on that bus. And I really want to thank Janet and Gail in particular for taking time out of their busy schedules to attend the hearing. I think it's always valuable for affiliated agencies to have our volunteer board members present. Ed and Rita were there too, but they were paid to be there, so. Exactly.
So you get a little more when you volunteer. It's about that service.
You heard reference to it during the public comment period. We're continuing to work with our taxi contractor on Access Ride with issues they're having with dispatching trips and challenges in reliable service delivery. And I know Marilyn and Dan and their staff are working very hard to try to resolve that. We did roll out, as was also mentioned, we broadly rolled out the Access on Demand program. We had been piloting that for a couple months with a relatively small number of consumers. The feedback was pretty positive from the consumers who were using it. So about 2 weeks ago, we sent out kind of a mass mailing to all of our Access Ride users to give it a try. It is a pilot program, so we'll be doing a formal evaluation of it in terms of customer acceptance and service reliability and cost, and then you'll be hearing about that as we get more data compiled into that program to see whether we can make it a permanent part of our service mix. I want to thank, and eventually I will find time to gather from Walter information about the Chamber's mission trip to Seattle, which was in large part targeted to transit. And I know Hannah also attended. I was scheduled to attend, but with some of the transition in leadership, I didn't feel like 2,000 miles away was a good spot to be. So I appreciate your representation and Hannah's representation of the MTA on that trip.
We used your name a lot. Especially on the credit slips.
Good. And you'll be auditing that.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm a little nervous after those Chicago comments.
I love Chicago. We met with representatives of Metro Nashville Schools and now Vice Mayor Sherry Weiner. She was council lady Sherry Weiner at that time, to talk about their plans for the construction of the new Hillwood High School in Bellevue and what transportation options might occur there. This past week, actually this week, I did travel. I was in Washington DC to attend at the invitation of the Federal Transit Administration, a CEO summit on the whole mobility on demand question. It's a very dynamic thing with all of the players that are emerging and changing and falling out of the industry. What I will tell you is I guess I was both pleased and disappointed. I was hoping to find, okay, somebody's got this all figured out and they're doing it and it's working great and we can send a couple people there. And I found out, I won't say that we're in front on this, but we are very close to in front on this. So I think a lot of the work that Dan and Marilyn and Katie and Julie's group have been doing to kind of position us for it, will serve us very well. And everybody from the federal government on through very large systems on to very small systems, sometimes the best innovations in these areas you can find in the small systems. The general commitment is we just need to keep talking to each other, seeing what works and what doesn't. I think one of the things that was encouraging was we've kind of been hitting roadblocks with Uber in particular, and one of our peers said the change in leadership there seems to be starting to filter through, and they are starting to be a little bit more receptive to different partnership ideas. I was pleased to join Mayor Briley about a week ago to recognize the graduates of Metro's Management Institute program that Metro HR puts on. So I know I saw Zita. Zita Riggs is one of our graduates this time around. Brian Williams from her department. And of course the incomparable Billy Higgins from our grants department graduated. So I was very pleased to represent MTA at that event. I wasn't quite sure what to make of the comment when Zita accepted her award. Mayor Bradley asked if she was in charge of keeping an eye on me. So I wasn't sure.
She said there's not enough money in the world.
More shade.
Zita, and so in due recognition of our home countries of New Jersey and Chicago, we can both share in the fact that she would answer as only a Philly girl would answer. As always, I'd like to report a couple of our RTA items of interest to you. Yesterday at RTA's board meeting, the City of Columbia was formally admitted as a member of the RTA. So they are now in.
Very kind.
And we will be, I'm actually meeting with the mayor and some of the folks from Columbia in a week or two. And one of the things they want to work on is then working on Murray County to come in. And if Murray County joins, then we will have all 10 counties in the RTA's legislated service area as actual members of the authority. Progress continues. I'm looking at Julie and I'm looking for Trey, slowly but surely on the Hamilton Springs Station. So that continues. And again, as with Murfreesboro Road, it's always good to see projects with hard hats on the job and just not suits and ties. We're also continuing to work with the Federal Railroad Administration on some special waivers relative to positive train control to continue the STAR and not have to necessarily spend $30 million at the current moment. And then finally, I want to thank Rita in particular, Ed too, but Rita really put in a lot of work. We're going through our sunsetting and our reauthorization through the General Assembly of the RTA. So the RTA board has done a considerable amount of restructuring over the past few months in ad hoc committees and advisory committees and work by Rita and the RTA's general counsel on some structural governance changes. So those are taking, the Senate Government Operations Committee had a meeting last week to hear our renewal bill, and it was blissfully short and sweet, and they've moved it on to the full Senate for consideration and hopefully extension. So we're still going to be in the RTA business, it looks like, for at least another 2 years.
Good.
And with that, unless there are any questions, Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Does anybody have any questions to speak? I don't have any. Well done.
Thank you.
Any other business?
Not for me.
No other business, then we are adjourned.